Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you and peace out to the rest of you. Black heart, black mind, black in again. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. I don't want to go through a long intro. Let me get right to it. First off, shout out to Phantom Clutch. Sometimes I forget that some of these people even know I exist. I forgot Phantom Clutch. Matter of fact, I don't know if he ever knew I existed. Did I see him in the chat? I started thinking, so he knows I exist. Did I see him in the chat? Was he talking to one of my live streams or not? I try to remember all of the names. But he saw my video in which I went in on these anti-travelers. And I'm going to use the term Gamecel, which I heard him use first. I heard Phantom Clutch first use Gamecel. So thank you, sir, for that idea. And also to whoever else used it, if you got the idea from them. So there's another crowd of Gamecel guys I need to address. The first one I already addressed were the ones who go so far as to make false accusations. I forgot about Taz, but I named some other names, though. Now I'm going to sit up and I'm going to talk about others who believe that there is that thinking and traveling productive black men are the cleanup crew. Others such. Let me go ahead and point something out to them. Those of you who believe that we are some kind of cleanup crew, naturally, you also come in two camps. Some of you believe that this is the way we are divinely, like that's how God made women and God made us. So you're blaming God for being unfair, and from the bottom of my black heart and the depth of my black mind, F you very much for doing that. Others of you simply say, well, that's just the choice that the women make. Doesn't necessarily have to be natural or divine, but that's the choice they've made. I'm just saying that that's how they are. Now, if that's the case, you're actually correct. It's just how they view men. However, that's not necessarily a natural thing. That is nurture. What is natural is for women to not want a weak man and a pushover. That's what is natural. The other things are nurture. Culture can even determine how they assess manhood or weakness in men. That's culture. See, I'm not seen as a weak type of man in any culture, but as a younger man, I was assumed to be such in the African American culture, and I said it like that intentionally. The nigger culture, really. It was assumed until I became violent, and then that stopped. The fact is, it was the only culture like that. Amongst Latin Americans, that wasn't the case. So, I'm pretty much done with these ideas that the Daggle have. Done validating. I've been done validating these ideas, but even more so, I'm done now. But I also want to point out to you that say things like this. I'd like to make something plain and known to you guys. The women make these choices based on nurture more so than nature. And what that means is that you're going to have to admit that the nurture's messed up. Even you guys need to admit that the nurture's messed up. Now, if you're one of these Gamecel preachers and you want to say the women are the same everywhere, the nature may be, but I can tell you the nurture is different. I know because I'm witnessing it. However, if you're one of those guys that wants to sit up and tell us this, the question you need to ask yourself is, number one, you really need to ask yourselves this. Do you find that this works for you? Are they throwing it at you because you're just so alpha? If they're doing that, if they're throwing it at you because you're just such an alpha, then that's fine. At least you have a logical reason to believe as you do. But if you are sitting up and saying, well, some guys are just the cleanup men for the other guys, and they're just going to have to get the negative or the inferior treatment from the same women and the inferior quality of the same woman at a different time in her life, my question is, are you one of those guys that's even being treated better? Or are you one of those that's being treated worse? Are they throwing it at you when they're young and hot and childless? That's my question. Are you the first screw and the first baby daddy for them when they're attractive? If you're not, if that's not the case, then I'm sorry, guys. You have no reason to even think this. You don't have a logical reason to think this. And since you don't have a logical reason to think this, then maybe you need to go ahead and step on to the other side. As a matter of fact, you definitely do. You have no reason to talk down on men who get passports and travel and find out that the nurture is actually different. Doesn't make any sense at all. So, now that we got that out the way, let's look at numbers. Some of you are anti-traveling and you're Gamecel because it works for you, okay? And you want to sit up and convince other men that your platform is correct. To those of you for whom it works, my question is, how effective and how loud would your platform be if the men next to you, for whom it does not work, because only 7 to 15% of you can actually make up the carousel on which these women will ride? The answer is no, it would not be as loud. If those Gamecel preachers realize, wait a minute, this ain't even working for me. I'm just up here validating childish, animalistic choices that only benefit these other guys. No, it doesn't work for me. All of a sudden, you're going to lose a lot of your voice. And you can't be taken seriously. And right now, let's be honest, many of you have, you've lost a lot of credibility. On one hand, one of you has sat up and said that black men, or you've implied that Western men in general, who step out and don't deal with the wicked witch of the West with her attitude, are weak. You left black women alone because you were subjected to violent treatment. You'll sit up and talk about you ain't beta, you alpha, but you got treated with violence by a black, more than one according to you. So you left and got with either a white or a Hispanic woman. And actually that would make sense. But now you sitting up and saying that men who don't sit and deal with the disrespect of the wicked witch of the West are weak. If we sat up and dealt with the disrespect of the wicked witch of the West, you'd have said we were weak for that. And you know who you are. You were the same one talking to a black man from Sudan, and you said you're not even black, you Muslim. Nigga, one is a race and the other one is a religion. I'm black and I'm Muslim. But then if you saw me, you'd say you ain't even black. So I guess maybe there's some consistency there. Another one of you is in an open relationship or an open marriage. You're going to be out screwed by your wife because you already know she can go out with no game and bring home some dinglings. You got to bring some game to bring home some trim. It ain't going to work equally. It never does. The list goes on. Others of you have said that you can't get passports. Others of you have said you have passports, you can get them. You just don't need to use them. What it comes down to is that in reality, once people stop and really analyze what's going on, you don't have a leg to stand on. And you're just lucky that a lot of men have been deceived into thinking that this is just the natural order of things and that traveling is not going to change that. That's all. What I would say is if you're one of those Gamecel preachers for whom it has not worked, then go ahead and travel and see. Put it to the test. Find out directly. If you're going to preach this, if you're going to back up these Gamecel guys at whom women are throwing the panties. And let's see how many of the Gamecel guys actually are having the panties thrown at them. Let's find this out. Then we're going to see who it is that actually has the larger numbers. And I've already said, since non-select men naturally outnumber select men, however you divide it, then we already know whose voice is going to be louder if you're going to use numbers as an indicator of truth. Now, I don't usually do that, except when it comes to witnesses. If you're talking about opinions, maybe not. But when it comes to witnesses of a phenomena, I do allow numbers to predominate. And I allow predominant numbers to be an indication. And in this case, the question is, do you get better results when you travel and leave the West? And yeah, people who've done it are saying absolutely that's the case. I found that out accidentally. So in my own case, what I could observe, no, it was plain as day. Accidentally, I found that out. So I'm just saying that others of you need to go ahead and put it to the test and you find it out. That being said, I'm done. Thank you for listening. Black heart, black mind, blackout. Assalamu alaikum.